before I ask Akram to join me, I just want to read out something. The Critics Circle Awards nominations were announced yesterday, and I just want to read out some of the nominations. The Dancing Times Award for Best Male Dancer, Akram Khan. Best Modern Choreography, Xenos, by Akram Khan. Outstanding Male Modern Performance, Xenos, by Akram Khan. So that's that bit. And then, Best Female Dancer, Rothia Molina, and Dancing Brother is credited, like, this is very rare, but anyway. And Outstanding Female Modern Performance, also with Rothia Molina, in Caída del Quiero. So I think we're in quite posh company here with all these awards for two of our four nominators. Anyway, that's it. Akram, would you like to join me? That's a joke between Akram and I. Akram did one of the, it was a bit of Thriller for those of you that didn't hear. We did a series of digital talks earlier. Was it this year? Last year.
Last year.
Oh my goodness, it was last year. And in it we were asking people for their inspirations early on, and Michael Jackson was one of Akram's inspirations, so that was just a short, bad joke from my side. Good, okay. So, Akram, I want to talk to you a little bit about the importance of how we can help artists develop and grow. And you have a very long history with Dance Umbrella, and I know that you said early on how much the care that you got from Val, and I think at that time Gregory Nash as well, when you were first starting out, how it helped to make you feel supported and protected. And I just wondered if you'd just let us know why you felt like that and what difference it made to you.
I think there's a huge difference between a presenter that is interested in presenting interesting work and a human being that is interested in the artist's journey. Val has both of those qualities, and so does Greg. And I was very fortunate because they were not interested in commodifying me or putting me into a situation which I would not be able to handle straight away, packaging me. And I think we're losing that kind of thinking, because the presenting world is so wants the next product, if you like. So I was very lucky. It was a very, very good time for me where I was very fragile. I was just coming out. I had something, obviously, small or big, it didn't matter, but it was something that Val and Greg believed in. But they really supported me by saying, how long do you need? What do you need? And if I couldn't answer some of those questions, they would refer to someone that they know who is senior, who may have gone through a similar process. And also, in a sense, they connected me with Jonathan Burrows, who became my mentor. And later, Bill Forsyth became a mentor, a weird mentor. Because Bill was meant to mentor me as a choreographer to a young choreographer, and he started mentoring me in homeopathic medicine. And I kept saying to him, I have no interest in homeopathy. But for some reason, he believed that I should go into homeopathy. Yeah. But Jonathan really guided me through the acknowledgement, through the connection between Val and Greg.
But you had a very good producer already at that time.
No.
You didn't. So when did you meet Farouk?
Farouk in 2000. Jonathan introduced. 1999 probably.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jonathan introduced me to him.
Okay.
Said there's this mad hatter who won't stop calling me, saying, "Is there a South Asian artist that is doing interesting work?" And that's how we
went on from there. Because Akram's had a very long and successful relationship with Farouk, his producer, and I remember that he's ambitious. He's an ambitious person, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I can remember at certain points worrying for you. I really remember like how quickly artists move up into scales of spaces, and sometimes the ambition of the producers or the programmers can be to grab them and make them go onto big stages before they have built an audience or even a kind of shell around how they work, or collaborators who help protect you so much.
Yeah.
And it can be really damaging because it can kind of force feed people through that can really lead to clashes.
Creative learning, or learning about your craft, is a bit like pregnancy. You can't speed it up.
It just is what
It takes what time it takes. And that's the danger, because the circuit runs at a very fast level. And an example, Hofesh, which not many people know this, Hofesh, before he became big, he was already coming out as this young choreographer. He asked me to meet him at SAT as well, so I did. He said, could you give me some feedback? And he said, look, I've got this show that I've done and they want it at the place. But then after that, a month or so later, Queen Elizabeth Hall wants another venue, wants another show. A month or 2 months later, something like that, Sadler's Wells wants another show. And I said, that's suicidal. Don't do that. You can't, it's just, this is your first steps.
Because you get used to grabbing, as freelancers, you just get used to grabbing every single offer that you get. And the idea that if you're good, those offers will come back again is hard to believe, actually, and to trust that might happen. Can I take you on to 4x4? Because I'm just interested to know why you said yes to doing it. But also I wanted to ask you a little bit about Dub Art Festival that you've just been programming. So first of all, could you just say why did you say yes to our invitation?
I just felt it was such a, I just felt honoured that Val asked me to do it. That was the first thing.
There you go.
That was,
that's Val right there.
It's funny, some people just see something that others don't always see, and she saw something in me, and I'm ever so grateful for that. At a time where not many people noticed something, so she supported it all the way through. So that was the first reason. The other reason was I loved the idea. I love the idea. You're talking about past and future, and a friend of mine, a theatre director, Simon McBurney, we were talking about our solos, and I was bitching to him about my solo and how hard it is before the show, and then after the show we met, and I stopped bitching after seeing his solo, which was 2.5 hours called Encounters, and he's 60. So I apologised to him after that. But he told me a story. He told me a story about, it relates to the work that he's doing, and it's about the past and the future. And there's this Amazonian tribe, and a journalist meets this Amazonian tribe, and the journalist says, there's an exchange, and he says, in the West, the Western world, we see the future as in front of us, That's the way we're moving, the future is in front of us. And the past, well, it's behind our body because it's gone. And the chief of the Amazonian tribe said, smiled and said, well, for us, the past is in front of us because we can see it. It's happened.
Nice.
The future is behind us because we cannot see it. And so what I love about the idea of 4x4 is, in a sense, that the past is our future. I've always been interested in that. And when you asked me to nominate someone, the past being our future, I thought, well, Maithili would be, the one that I would highly recommend, because she's really trying to look at the form that she has, which belongs in the past, or we think it belongs in the past, but how does it relate to now? And I thought she was the right person who was asking the right questions.
And she performed in the Art Festival last year, didn't she?
Yeah.
She was the only one of the 4 artists that were nominated. I didn't realise it was Maithili, but I'd heard about this amazing soloist that performed last year at SAT as well. And then I realised that this was actually the person that you had in fact nominated. So for me, one of the fun things in programming is to ask other people to do my job for me. And part of the reason for this, the 4x4, is the pleasure in handing that over. So 2 of the artists will be coming next year, including Maithili, and the other 2 will be coming in 2020. But I just would love to hear a bit about how you found it doing Dub Art, because you've now done it for a couple of years, and I just wondered how it's felt?
Being on the other side,
Yeah.
on stage, I prefer that side. It's fucking hard. Because you're being a curator, presenter, because so many things can go wrong.
Hello. Yeah.
And you're not in control, really. What's really interesting is you hand it over to the artists. I've never done that before. Nobody hands it over to me. You hand it over to me. Suddenly I was handing it over to them. And but they were great artists who were performing. I take it with a huge responsibility because I have an agenda, for sure. And I'm very blessed to have Maven, who is a dear friend of mine and an artist who is supporting me equally as much as Sandeep is, who's the Rough Festival director. And it's an extraordinary feeling after when it works.
And I heard he did a fantastic piece on the Saturday night, it was the night before.
Maven.
Yeah.
Yeah, he choreographed something very special because
Yeah.
I've been waiting for years.
He's here, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've been,
Well done. I didn't see it, but hey, sounds great.
No, I've been waiting for 2 decades for someone to look at the Indian classical form, but not whitewash it, not transform it, to contemporize it, but not to make it for white people.
But Aditi Mangaldas isn't doing that, is
No,
she? No,
she
so
isn't.
there are some people working differently. But not
Yes,
many, very few,
yes, but
actually.
for me, she does it in a very abstract way. Whereas the way Maven did it was through looking at the literal text. It was very it was a storytelling. It was incredible. Yet all his contemporary sensibilities were there, and so it was like I was watching Bharatanatyam for the first time. And and I never felt like he was designing it for a particular presenter. It still remained within the classical form. That's really a hard thing to pull off.
That's good. What you said you have an agenda.
You know, in the 90s when I was studying at university, I remember there was a time where the whole classical scene in England, the Indian classical scene, became homeless by the word contemporary. In the Arts Council, when you applied for the Arts Council funding, there was a word called contemporary. You had to relate it. You had to, if you're going to ask for money, you're going to have to do something that relates to contemporary, something in those natures. So my Guruji and many other gurus who have invested their time here had the choice to make. Do they do something that they don't want to do or don't understand yet? They're of a different generation, they're not in their 20s. Or do they just persevere with what they do, but they're going to be sidetracked because they will not have the support that they were so, just within a year of that shift, legislation, let's say, a year before that, they were getting so much support.
It's an interesting difference with classical in terms of ballet and classical in terms of salvation.
Yeah.
They're both classical forms.
Yeah. But what are you saying?
That I'm surprised that that would feel outside, that they would fall outside the funding system because of not being contemporary.
Oh, classical.
When there are other
Classical
forms
ballet
being-
doesn't rely on Arts Council entirely. It's the classical ballet is hugely funded, and it's supported by very wealthy people. They work in a very different market. Even contemporary does not even come close to the classical network. Yeah.
It's interesting.
And so anyway, I felt really to see them become homeless. I thought it really touched me, moved me, and it's funny because I'm the product. Let's say, in a sense that it lent itself to me that contemporariness, which I was discovered many years later. But so I felt that I always wanted to. As classical Indian dance got sidetracked to the side, I felt I wanted to bring it on the main stage again, and to find artists that make it relevant, like Aditi, like Maven, Mohabbat. Yes, the one who performs.
Yeah, she's amazing. So, can I ask you about commissioning work? Because partly because that's what we're doing here with Choreographer, but partly because I've always felt it's such a different thing as an artist to be commissioned to make work, because you're being invested in before you've made something rather than being booked to program a show that exists already. So it's a very different way. The relationship, I feel, is one of investment in that artist as a creator with faith in whatever journey they're going on, that unknown journey of when they don't know what they're making, but there's support and money on the table for you to make that journey. And I feel psychologically it's a huge difference, and why these young artists that are so excited about being commissioned, for us for me it's great to be able to introduce to them and to be able to invite them, but from their viewpoint it's very useful for them to leave at other money and actually help to get work made and created because of this money that we're putting on the table. So I just wondered, would you just talk a little bit from your side as an artist what that difference means? Because you're now at a level where you've got major houses literally all over the world that are investing in co-productions to actually help you get your works made. I just wondered if you'd just talk a little bit about that. And I don't know if I'm right or not, and how it feels to be supported in that way.
I think it's probably the most important thing to happen for an artist of talent. You know, when you see young talent, to have someone say, here's financial support, small or large amount, doesn't matter. Here's financial support for you to go away and create something. I think more than the money, it's about the belief that and trust one gives to them, to say, I believe in you. I think that's invaluable. That's all I can say.
No, that's good.
You know, we are luckily we're in the dance world. The film world and the theatre world operates slightly differently, because you know, we are still in the world, let's say, where the presenter or the commissioner says, I believe in you, I'd like you to go and make work if you want to, and here's my faith, you know, I'm trusting you, you know, I'm giving you this as a show of support, but I want you to make it on this particular piece, and I'd like to come in all the way through the process, and I want the first opinion, first cut. You show it to me first. So film and theatre work differently. Producers are very powerful.
Yes, and much more interventionist, aren't they?
Absolutely. And they are usually producers who believe, most producers believe that they're artists. Secretly. And usually they are failed artists. But the great producers, I'm saying specific. So the great producers, the one like Alistair, like yourself, like Val, have artistic vision, but they also know where their area of expertise is. I've seen when we start going past 15 million, I've seen people, producers, literally tell the director how they are going to make the film. And that is frightening, and that's why I really love still the dance world in that way, where it's a dialogue perhaps, but definitely the artist is not the puppet.
Yeah, it is a different way of
yeah.
isn't it? Thank you, that's fascinating. I want to show a little film now of the 4 artists who each sent us a little bit to camera and show a little bit of their work. And the first one is actually my Tilly, who's going to be up. But I did want to say thank you. She's coming next year, but she's also in your next piece, isn't she? So we're just juggling dates slightly for Mr. World Class touring all over the world, very busy all the time, Mr. Khan, and my Tilly to squeeze things in. So I do want to thank Akram and Amy, who's helping us to carve out some places where London can actually get to see her and her work. So thank you very much, Akram.
Thank you
for coming, and let's have a look at these artists.